Welcome to the Featured Anime Podcast. I'm your host, Jack.
And I'm Rick.
And today we are talking about the Saints' Magic Power is Omnipotent Season 2, which was a recommendation by Jeb. But before that, we were just kind of chit-chatting a little bit about the things that I think I have taken care of. We'll soon find out as time progresses on. And if you want to catch a part of that wider conversation, patreon.com/featured anime podcast. $1 a month will get you access to that bonus content. And of course, also we have, affiliate links for you in the show notes. Crunchyroll, always feel free to click on those, get yourself a nice little free trial and everything else. And then let us not forget the most delicious, delectable, wonderful treats that you'll ever get, Tokyo Treat. We have an affiliate link for you in the show notes along with coupon code Featured Anime. You use that coupon code with our affiliate link, you get $5 off that very first box, and trust me, those treats are worth it, and they are very delicious. Of course, all this information and everything else is available to you on our website at featuredanimepodcast.com. And now on to the meat and potatoes. Saints Magic Power is Omnipotent Season 2 aired from October 2023 through December 2023. Producer for it is Kadokawa, and studio for it is Dio Media. Its genres are fantasy, isekai, slice of life, and romance, and it's based off of a light novel, and it is 12 episodes long. Now, the Saints Magic Power is Omnipotent Season 2 continues from where we left off in Season 1. Roughly, I mean, like, obviously there was a time skip for it.
Just a minor one.
And to kind of recap it, Sei Takanashi, she was an overworked office worker in a previous life, gets transported into this new world. As a result of it, though, she is now formally recognized as a saint by the end of season 1 and well into season 2. And now she's going out helping the military go around and suppress the monsters and basically bring peace to the land for the kingdom that she's in. She is now basically navigating her life by immersing herself into the potion making, healing practices at the Medical Flora Research Institute, and also going out monster hunting expeditions. The season 2, though, really dives deeper into that personal growth, her evolving relationships, and the challenges that she faces in balancing what she wants with her life, her responsibilities with being a saint. That's all I got. I mean, that largely sums it up. As I was reading everything, I realized I thought about typing some stuff and I left things out. So, like, I don't know, literal keywords to help kind of chain flow everything together.
Yeah, I mean, so I was I was watching it, and I don't keep notes, you know that. And instead of actually keeping the notes, I just sent them to my wife on Discord. And my top thing is my favorite line of this show so far is, "You're not wrong, you're just rude." And I loved it. And I was thinking, like, it doesn't encompass the whole upper society in the show, but a few interactions are like, yeah, what you're saying is factually accurate. The delivery is a bit harsh, and her growth in learning high society is quite nice, actually.
Yeah, but they really kind of touched on that in season 1. Did a little bit more so in season 2, simply because that was becoming a larger focal point for it. And one of the things that you really see in season 2 that I liked is that growth, that not just character growth, but growth as the world around her gets further expanded on. You gain a better understanding of everything that's happening around her. You also gain an understanding of, like, here's where everyone kind of mentally sits with her in general, and at the exact same time what their thoughts are with her. And then you also see a little bit of, like, hey, here's this random kingdom out here. We're going to lightly touch on this information over here. So that way you can kind of understand and deal with what they view with the saint, right? How they view the saint and what they think is important or anything like that with them.
Well, I mean, yes, but I'd also like to either add or take away from that. She's still very ignorant in a lot of things, you know?
Yes.
I saw your eyes go crazy. I'm like, no, I mean, like, the high society that she has to go through and navigating, and everyone's like, oh, she prefers it if you talk in common, or if you're not so uppity, like, or that's not the right word. You talk normally, like you and I talk. If we were in court, it wouldn't be acceptable.
You're talking about season 1. Yes.
No, season 2.
That's season 1.
But it happens in season 2 as well. No.
You're talking about the mercenary that comes there and he bends over and he kind of gives her the slant eye, like, hey, come on, help me out here. So that way I'm not.
Well, no, I was talking about the foreign prince.
Oh, that part. Yeah. Well, they kind of did that, but it wasn't really so much of that. It was more along the lines of the conversations that she was having with him had to be very careful and guided for it. Or they were restricted on what they could talk about because of state secrets. And then also at the exact same time, she couldn't let herself out herself in a manner of speaking. So it wasn't that, oh, you have to be so stringent with me. It's like, be careful what you say, and in more ways than one, because if you say something you shouldn't say, you can't SOL. And if you say something you shouldn't say, you're SOL, but in a new way.
I mean, yeah, it didn't help that she was one of the state secrets they were trying to protect.
Yes. But that's skipping ahead a little bit, you know. That's
well, I wouldn't quite say ahead so much as it that was mid-season, you know.
Yep.
But yeah, like, they started having her dress up in disguise, which I thought was a really nice change up from being put on display and this is our saint, this is, you know, whatever. And they started treating her more, less of a commodity and more of a regular person, I feel like, in this season.
Right, but the reason why she had to go undercover, and they do explain why, versus her being a saint, is one, before she was formally recognized as a saint, she didn't really have to hide. Then after she's formally recognized as a saint, they're saying, hey, you got to keep a low profile because you're the saint. It wasn't like, you got to be careful, you know, we're going to make sure you have a comfortable time. It's like, no, look, we want to keep things on and down low. We want to make sure you're able to move about easily, but also at the exact same time, we want to make sure that we're not having to do some severe bodyguarding with you while you're out there just trying to be, you know, yourself and go and shop and have a little fun. So you got to wear the disguise. It's like, you want to do this? Cool. Here's the catch.
One of the things I thought was really interesting along those lines was almost everything that she recognized from her original world had the exact same name.
Yeah.
And it made me think two things. One is not related to this topic, but it is related to her. One, do they not have like good trades or trade routes with everyone else? The fact that she's kept a secret as a national secret, does that mean there's potential for the other continents, of which I've only heard, I think, of 2? Maybe. 1 for sure, 2 maybe. Where they just don't trade goods? Because she was like, oh, do you guys happen to have any rice? Can I do this? Can I do that? And everyone was looking at her like, I don't recognize that. But when she goes, oh my goodness, that's rice. They're like, oh yeah, this is something that we grow over here. And like, miso didn't change the name.
Right.
Rice didn't change the name.
Well, the reason why is because you have to think about it in terms of medieval times, right? This is not the world where you can literally have containers and containers and containers of things and products and have everything move, where there's a global call for this, where it's easily transported across everything. It takes a lot of effort to transport it to another area. And in terms of, oh, I don't know what that is, I'll just try it, doesn't guarantee traction on it. not only that, the cost of transporting it and everything else might be astronomically high. So while they have it there, it could be like, hey, this is decent, but it's not good enough for me to want to spend the money for. Also, you have to keep in mind that foods were very, very plain until she started saying, hey, let's start seasoning some stuff here. So seasonings and spices and everything like that really weren't a big thing for them for the longest time until she came along, and then it started spreading out. So you have the potential for that future of them like bringing them on board and everything else. But that would be why it's largely if you go back 100 or so years, you're going to see the exact same thing. It's like, it's not going to catch on simply because it's different. It's unusual. It's things that really aren't their cup of tea because it is not what they're used to. The unknown is scary.
I guess that makes sense. It just, the reason why I was skeptical of it, and it didn't make sense to me. The transportation, okay, fine, I'll get it, but it seemed abundant enough and a staple for the other country's diet to the point that the crew was eating it, and they were eating it in mass. They had a giant barrel of rice that they were divvying out with, I would say, accurate serving tools. They also had bushels and bushels and stacks of rations beyond even that seemed to be preserved rather well. And then the miso, again,
you also have to keep in mind that the primary reason for them there wasn't necessarily trade. That was more so a cover. What they were primarily there for. You don't want to, it's like, hey man, if I go somewhere and I'm going to be there for the long haul, I'm going to want to have foods that I'm going to enjoy and like, and not have to pay an arm and a leg to make sure that I'm taken care of and eating.
So do you think that's really why they were there? Because the reason I'm asking is,
yes,
the original trading crew, the only reason they found that an effective potion, let's say, is due to pure freak happenstance.
Yes.
And then a letter was sent back, hey, you might find this interesting.
Well,
I thought they were just a regular trading company.
No, the captain was out there for a very specific purpose. His primary purpose was to find someone that had that. And that's why he wrote back. Like, he was specifically employed to be like, hey, bro, while you're out there, search for this for me. I need that. This is what I'm looking for.
That's right, because he was mentioned to have a large financial backer. It wasn't a backer. Essentially, it was a backer, but they used a different word.
Yeah.
Patronage.
Continue.
Anyway, sorry. I got stuck on the word. I'm sorry. So yeah, that just backs your claim on that. So that would make sense. I just thought it was, happenstance where he just threw out some feelers. Hey, if you see something interesting as far as healing goes, let me know. And yeah, so that's how that storyline essentially became about.
Yeah.
And then more to the point of my interest, I thought it was odd, to say the least, about the fact that you wouldn't trade delicacies. You wouldn't talk up the food, the plain foods of your country. You wouldn't be like, oh, this is a rare, exquisite, blah, 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 blah. Because apparently no one really travels anywhere because,
it's not cheap. It's long. Again, you have to keep in mind, if you're traveling, it's not, oh, we're there for 2 or 3 hours. It's like a 3 or 4 hour trip or an 8-hour flight. It's, hey, it's days, weeks, months to travel from point A to point B. And so you're not going to be like, hey, bro, I'm going to go over here for this nice little vacation, because by the time you get over there, you have to turn around and come back, and then you're late. And then it's like, well, snaps. Yeah. You have to keep, you got to keep in perspective, man. They are not out there traveling, and their primary purpose wasn't to sell goods. And they may have tried to sell the goods. However, to preserve them, to transport them, and then to convince masses and people to be like, hey, this is totally worth the price. It is a hard sell to make. And it's more so along the lines of, hey, I can summarize my confusion in this, I think, couple of sentences. The fact that they were willing to accept a foreign prince into their school, right?
indicates to me that they have some kind of exchange program where they could send their royalty or nobles over there for schooling of some kind.
They commented on right. They commented on it, and they said it's not precedent, but they're allowing it because they want to develop a friendly relationship.
Damn it. Okay. That kind of blew my theory out the water, because I was going to say the names didn't change. And when she was asking about, hey, do you have any rice? Do you have this? Do you have that? No one knew what those names were. But if they did have a semi sort of exchange, then those words would have pinged some kind of insight from those of import. But okay, so if they didn't go the other way, does that mean this world is just constantly at war with each other?
No.
And monsters?
Well, monsters probably, but not necessarily always at war with each other. It's just they more than likely probably don't have very friendly relationships or relationships to that degree. You have to keep in mind travel and news and everything like that's very slow. So while in the show it may have appeared to be very quick and rapid pace, it's not very
like 3 or 4 days max.
Yeah, it's not very quick. It's not very rapid pace.
Okay, no, I'll give you that. And they really didn't delve too deeply into that aspect. I would have liked it if they did. As far as world building goes.
Right. So you're talking about traveling. I mean, like, just think about turn of the century for us before we had vehicles and motorized equipment. Think 1800s. And traveling.
Turn of the century was the 90s, from what my little brother keeps telling me.
Right. I'm going to tell you.
Turn of our centuries.
No, 17 to 1800s. Right. Think that time traveling. Think that time frame. Right. For traveling. Right. Especially as mid to late 1700s. That's what you got. They're traveling by horse and carriage. They're traveling by boat with sails. That is all
Which
they
is
have.
Curious to me, because they have magic and they have wind magic. You figure you could fill your own sails and expedite travel that way.
They probably did, and probably didn't take that long. However, expending constantly magic will mean you have to have everyone on that boat, no wind magic, and hope that they have enough magic to help propel and have a reason for it at the exact same time, which means you probably are going to have a lot more people on that boat than what you actually need to have it make a difference.
At that point, you're using a calculation. Is the fuel worth the propulsion?
Well, do you have enough room to be able to house them all too? Because once they use their magic up, it's going to be a while before they can use it again.
I thought it was like a day. Well, maybe that's just the saint. Maybe. But yeah, no, there was you're dismantling my points here, sir.
I'm doing what you always do, which is want to apply real world logic to it. And it's like, hey, bro, well, when you think about it logically.
Well, I mean, depending the way that they built this world up, it's not a peace loving world. It's not a friendly information sharing world.
No world is. Why would they do that?
I mean, again, using this world's logic, I love Italian food. Never been to Italy.
I mean, do you really want to go down that rabbit hole right now? I don't think so.
Not with this show. No.
Okay.
Yeah. But so here's my second. Here's the unrelated part of it. You know how she can use healing magic?
Yeah.
Now imagine if she were to get married and then birth children. Could she immediately heal herself after birth and be perfectly fine?
Probably.
And to that point, let's say something happens. Is she able to heal herself during the pregnancy? That would revert her or heal her completely, or would it, as it does with other aspects of her magic, just make her come to term much faster? Make it artificially age. Like it's. I know we will never get an answer because that's not this. It's not that kind of story. But there were so many other aspects to this magic that they opened up by using the blessing to not only grow crops out of season, but grow crops from saplings to fully fledged 8-year-old fruit producing trees.
Right.
Within seconds.
Right.
So like if you could do that to people too, where you can like, oh, well, you just need to get a little bit older, boom, Right.
So what you're talking about is a saint's blessing, and whether or not a saint's blessing is applicable to accelerated human life, I don't know. I don't think anyone's ever exactly ventured to try and answer that question, being that there haven't been very many saints.
Didn't yeah, that's true.
Nor has that ever been like a question to be had. Gee, I
But that
wonder
brings
if
me to
I
my
can
next question.
accelerate growth in individual. Why shouldn't I do this?
Well, okay, so you've just brought up a point that kind of annoyed me about the first season. I know this is the only time I plan on intentionally bringing up the first season in this particular regard. The first saint that they have record of, was she teleported from another world or no? Because she was talking about how she loves her brother so much, and the love of her brother gave her the ability to cast the blessing. Was it a real brother? Was it a fake brother? Like,
no, it was her brother. That's what they said.
They were both teleported, or she was just there?
She was just there. They never said anything about her being teleported. That was never a thing. She just worked there. She lived there. She was an apothecary there. She did her due diligence and everything else.
So all the saints weren't pulled from other worlds then.
Yeah, that based on that assumption, yeah, that is what you could say.
Okay.
But
so now it brings me to my next question. What would be the requirements to become a saint?
Not you.
To wield the saint. Not me, obviously.
Obviously.
I mean, I only love you so deeply. No,
Why are you radiating black? What's that dark aura?
It's the distance between us.
Oh, right. Well, I think I need to increase it then. No, I don't know. We don't know. No one knows. No one says what that is. That's never explored, talked about, or anything like that. You know why? Because that ain't the focus of the story.
The power is love. The saint's power is love.
Right, but
what? You'll have to finish it for me because I can't. I'm lost.
Okay, but no one else has that special golden glow about them, regardless of it. When she does magic, it is very specific. Even before she used the saint's power,
yeah,
she had that golden glow. She already had
blessed.
Yeah, right. And it was a very particular type of magic, right? He, the Grand Magus, he even said, it's like, when I use it, it's like this. When someone else uses it, when everyone else uses their magic, this is what happens. This is the thing that happens. But for her, when she uses it, it's a blessing. It gives off this golden aura. So the other person probably had received a blessing in some fashion after praying and praying and praying and praying and praying and everything else on top of that. And then dedicating her entire body to researching a cure for her beloved brother and the crops and everything like that, so that way she can save him. Through that, plus love, poof, thanks power.
Sure.
My theory. Why not? Better than happenstance.
Way better than happenstance. I'll give you that. Do you think, according to your theory, is it possible that a saint's ability or the saint's potential, let's call it, could be passed through generations, like passed through your lineage? Or
I would say no.
You're special and only you're special.
I would say no.
Okay.
I would say no.
Just hypothetically, imagine your mom is so awesome and you're just a nobody. I don't think it'll happen, obviously, but could you imagine being overshadowed? Is like a majority of shows or anything like that. You have someone that's a parent that's amazing and magnificent, and then poof. Dud.
Okay, dud. I mean, that's not unusual.
Darn.
It's not unusual. It is not unusual at all.
It's not unusual to be missed by the saint.
Right.
Oh, and that brought me another thing. Every time her name came up, I in my mind, all I heard was, "What you say? That you only meant well." And I'm thinking, like, I wanted to listen to that song to see if it matched at all. I know I'm going off in the woods. I'm sorry, but
you've been going off in the woods for a while now.
A little bit. It's where I live, in the woods. So no, in this season they stuck to, I would say, high society. I liked the fact that at the very beginning they flash forward, where they show I'm not gonna say a catastrophe, but like a really big fight and issue. And oh no, look out, no! Episode 1.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. It reminded me of a well, a few different series to be honest, but Flash Forward was a show I used to watch where they would show boom, and then now you get to work up to that scene with suspense. You see it without suspense, and now you get to work up to it with suspense. And I thought that was an interesting way to choose season 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, like this season was, in my mind, more about politics and her future moving forward than the first one was, the first season. And I think it was nice, well-rounded, and honestly, this time, you mentioned the music last time. This time, I actually paid attention to it far more than just a happenstance, and I really liked their use of violin a lot.
Oh, good. I'm glad you liked their use of violin. It was very magical, very wonderful, for sure.
Yeah. Did you have a favorite character here, or did you feel any characters were thrown to the side this season?
Nope.
I felt like they threw the other summon, the other lady that was summoned. She had just as total appearances.
She had just as many appearances. But well, okay. I mean, like let's talk about this real quick. Was the show about the non-saint has non-omnipotent power, or was the show called The Saint's Magic is Omnipotent Power? Okay, I mean, like which one?
Hold on. Now, this annoyed me. Is it omnipotent or omnipotent?
Your choice. I don't care.
Okay. Now, for some reason, I kept reading omnipotent, and you just said omnipotent, so I might have been reading it wrong. That's why I was asking.
Does it really matter? At this point, we're at the end. We've watched season 2. That's it. Does it matter at that point? It was just a stickler for me.
It was a stickler for me. It just perked my ears up. I was like, wait a second. Was I doing it wrong the entire time?
You know what?
Anyway. Well, no, of course the show wasn't about her, but at the end of the last season, they became somewhat friendly. And I envisioned in season 2, she would show up more often because they've got some common interests. They've got common history. They've got some sort of connection.
It's about Say. It's about her growth. It's about her
growing with friends. And
it's about her romance. It's a romance anime.
And every girl needs a good friend to
she
gossip
has
about.
2 good friends. You don't need to see every little gossiping thing that goes on for it. Come on, man.
Well, you do for every other incident.
Ah, Jesus.
So that was my only gripe. They had a good opportunity that they
had a good opportunity to not dwell on meaningless relationships and instead focus on more meaningful romance. And by golly, if they didn't do that, woo!
Yeah, there was almost too much romance.
It's a romance anime. It's like, again, this is like toned down from what it was in the books.
I believe you. Okay, did you see the books?
No, I didn't watch the books. Unfortunately, they haven't finished converting them to a video format for me to watch. But
no, I said, did you see them? Not did you watch them?
Yeah, did I see the books? As in, did I watch them? No,
as in, did you read them? Like, did you see the pictures?
No, I didn't see the pictures. They're a light novel.
Oh, so it's not a comic.
No, it's a light novel. At the beginning of every episode, producers are Kodakawa. Studio is Dio Media. Aired October 2023 through December 2023. Yep. It is based off of a light novel.
Yep. And in my understanding, up until this point, light novels were basically just books you read backwards that had comic strips in them. That's
You're
what
talking
I thought
about mangas.
Light novel was. Yeah, I thought those were light novels.
Yeah, but I also
I've
call
never read
out
a light novel. I've read manga.
But I also call out mangas when this is based off of a manga. That's why I say it's based off of a manga.
I thought it was interchangeable.
It's not. Oh my.
Hey, I'm telling you my honest truth. I didn't know.
Okay. Well, there you go. Now you know. It is a book. And you can, I mean, like, there's audiobooks for it, I'm sure. I'm sure you can listen to it. I'm sure they're out there for you to listen to.
I didn't look them up that way.
Anyways, I know you're going out there and everything else. It's all right. I'm sure you can probably find it on Daily Motion or whatever it is you like to go to.
I haven't been on Daily Motion in a minute, ever since I was trying to find Zoids.
Okay. So, all right. That being said, I got nothing else.
You.
I got nothing else. I mean, like you don't listen. You apparently were.
Oh, no, it's not about listening. It's understanding, comprehension.
Yeah, didn't understand what I had been talking about for the last
years.
Years now. At this point,
I thought they were interchangeable. I thought at worst a light novel was simply just like you have a picture, and then you've got, instead of words in the picture, you've got subtext on the bottom.
I mean, like, we've been doing this for almost 7 years. Like, at no point during the 7 years did you go, why does he always say specifically light novels for one? And we'll save that for later on. We'll save that for later on. Okay. All right. Anyways, on this romance, fantasy, slice of life, isekai anime. Okay. Do you have anything else you would like to talk about other than the fact that there was romance in the romance anime? Is there any other issues that you have? Other than, again, I want to point out that there is romance, and the focal point of this romance anime was romance.
Well, the fact that there was so much romance, I'm kidding.
You joke, but I fully believe you.
The only thing I had a real problem with. Now, okay, would you consider both of these characters? I want to say tsundere, but I know I said that. I know that's not correct.
Okay, what characters would I consider? What?
Our two main characters, Sei and
Albert.
Albert, yeah. What? How would you categorize them? I'm not. To be fair, I don't know what the difference is. I know that one of them wants to kill you. I think that was tsundere. No, that's not tsundere. That's yandere. I don't know. They're shy about their feelings. So what would you classify both of these characters as?
I wouldn't classify him as anything other than one, Albert specifically saying, hey, I held back because I didn't want to push her. I just wanted I didn't want to push her forward. I just wanted her to take things at her own pace. Again, not shy about it, not tsundere. And Sei, not that either. She's just really confused about what she feels. And as it progresses, she's coming more and more to terms with it. And she's trying to also at the exact same time find every reason not to believe what she's feeling is love. She's like, is this even love? She even says that. It's like, I have no idea what this feeling really is. I've never been in love before.
Okay. But even from season 1, like, everyone tells her and she reads and everyone understands the saint's power is the power of love.
Right.
And she even reconfirms it this season several times. But
at the exact same time, she's struggling with the fact that, yes, even though she's being told that, she acknowledges that. Is it that? Like, is what I'm feeling for him really, is it really love? Is it that type of love? Or is it a different type of love? Like, is it the type of love where it's romantic and I just want to be with him for the rest of my life? Because I kind of want to do that. That feels really nice. But also at the exact same time, is that what I really want? Is that what I'm moving towards? Because that's also a focal point in this. It's like, what's the end game? What's at the end of the road? Like, after everything's said and done, what do I ultimately want? Right. And that's why Johan even says, it's like, hey, you know what? If you even brings it up, it's like, it'll bring my family off my back and you get to continue doing exactly what you want to do.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a matter of what does she want to do? What does she ultimately believe in? And what is she trying to accomplish? Like, what's her end game?
Okay. So
to put it in a way
you'll... Two different things out of it then.
To put it in a way that you might... Go ahead.
Yeah, that makes sense. But the way that I originally took it as was he was holding back because he didn't want to pressure her into anything. And she was holding back because she didn't think that he felt the same way about her.
No, she...
Like that was my understanding of it.
Right. Well, I mean, that's not too far off the base, except she was confused about what she wanted, and he just wanted her to take things at her own pace and just kind of move in slowly. But as things worked out, he's like, hey, given everything that happened, I can't do that. I can't just sit back anymore. I have to jump right in. But then again, you know what I mean? Like, hey, that's all right. That's all right.
Okay. So that means, unless we go into extreme spoiler territory, I think that's about it. What about you?
Yeah, I think that's good.
All right. So, given tradition, I'll go first. I'm gonna give this I gotta give it better than a 7 because I actually liked it. I'm gonna give it an 8, maybe a little bit more than an 8. Yeah, okay. I talked myself into a 9. I'm giving it a 9 because I really enjoyed the fact that this had a hard ending. I didn't really. Well, I assume it's a hard ending given the last episode.
Right.
But I've been wrong about that before. But if it does not get anything further, I'm satisfied.
Indeed.
And it felt cute. It felt very good and cute. The ending I got was satisfying to the point of I'm like, all right, things are as they should be. The reason it's not a 10 and what detracts from it was the fact that I felt like the person who was not the main character kind of got left in the dust. And I was really hoping that there'd be some kind of camaraderie between people who got abducted because they shared a really strong life event. And it's not like she was weak. She was really, really strong in healing. And it would have been nice to see her in action a little bit more to try to be like, oh, you like that? Well, let's see about this. Let's see about that. And they worked together to create more of a friendly foundation. And then on top of that, just explore magic a little bit better. Because I do like magic. And the way that they did it in here was very stringent and strict, except when it came to her. And she was able to put like a twist on it that I thought would be really nice to see. Kind of interesting.
Right. Yes, obviously. Because, why focus on non-romance portions of a romance anime?
You can have romance and action. You know that. You can have romance, intrigue, action.
Right. Anyways, I'm sticking with my 9, largely because while it was good, you did get a solid ending and everything else. They did have kind of a focal point as to like, hey, in our area, kingdom, in this is resolved. Okay, but like, how does that translate to the rest of the world at that point, right? They don't. I understand they don't care, but and him wanting to develop those friendly relationships, is there an ulterior motive or anything like that? What is like in the end, like, does this really mean this is the end for her? That's the kind of only drawback. And then the animation got a little bit wonky for me on some of it too.
Yeah, they wasted most of their budget early on, I feel like.
Yeah. So, it was a really good show. It was kind of solid. A lot of time skips on it, so they didn't announce it or let you know what the time frame for it was. And then if you watch the first episode and you don't continue on after that, you're really kind of SOL because you have no idea what the hell is happening, especially at the beginning. That's the only other drawback, is the opening to episode 1 does not come full circle until much, much later. So if you watch the first episode and you think you missed something, don't worry. They'll backtrack all the way to the very beginning and then reaccount that.
That'll explain it for you.
Exactly. Anyways, yeah, that's it. That's all the time that that's all I got for this one, man. So 9 and 9. Next week's choice. Do you have a particular topic in mind that you would like to watch?
I don't. I was looking at a few things, but nothing that I feel like would be beneficial for us.
Okay. And sure. In that case, we're going to watch Jormungand, that as recommended by Decrepit Jeb, because that's the first one that came up, and that's what we're doing.
All right. Could you spell that for me?
Jormungand. Jormungand.
Okay.
All right. Which should be right up your alley. Anyways, it's an action-packed anime from what he said. Well, that's all the time that we have for today. If you feel like we did too much justice, not enough justice, or anything like that, got that stuff right, wrong, or anything else in between, feel free to let us know. All the contact information is in the show notes, as well as on our website at featuredanimepodcast.com. And then also feel free to join us in our Discord. And until next time, I'm your host, Jack.
And I'm Rick. And we'll see you next time.